Noah? Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Larry!
Larry, you can't just... Oh,
Larry! Oh, are you all right? How did...
Larry!
Settle in, Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. Get your snacks. Get something to drink. Put me up on the big screen. If you're in the car, don't do any of that. Just turn up the volume. Wherever you're at, though, tune out the rest of the world for the next hour. It is Anything But Ordinary, week number 5. And if you can believe that one whole month of football and fantasy has gone by, it comes, it goes, and so much to talk about and discuss. I've got a little bit of a voice thing going on. I'm not going to waste any time. Probably by the end of this episode, I'll have no voice. My wife will have never been so pleased. With that being said, real quick, before we go into everything, you already know, like and subscribe. Get us out there. Hopefully, wherever you're at, you're watching, you're coming back. Maybe you're in the league, maybe you're not in the league. Either way, we really hope that you're enjoying the content and everything that's going on. I know one thing's been missing, and I am a man of the people, okay? And your requests have been heard. And for those of you who don't know, for those rookies and like the members who are maybe not part of the league, I used to open up my episodes with a smoke sesh, and I kind of cut it out this year just to save time, but that is not what the people want. They want to see a little bit of the old school. So I broke out my iguana bong and I put it in a little G45. I sprinkled it with some keef. And so once again, let's open up a fantasy Anything But Ordinary episode with a kick-ass smoke cess. Let's burn them.
Mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. How we ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. Skrillex ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday.
Mash up the place.
And make them all have fun. How we ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make them all have fun. Skrillex ablaze the fire, make it fun them. We mash up the place, turn up the bass and make some sound, boy run. And we will end your week just like a Sunday.
Well, now that your commissioner is good and toasted, this is your people's fault. I don't blame myself. I did not do this to myself. There's a reason I didn't get high and cover all this stuff. All right? This is what you people wanted. You were already on to me about, misspelled names. And I know some people think it's ha-ha funny. Well, now it's going to be hilarious because God knows I can't concentrate on anything now. But this, again, man of the people, I give you what you want. And what you want is a week 4 review. It starts with Jordan and Brennan. Oh, Lordy. Whoo! Woohoo! I'm seeing all tweet. Oh, man. Anyway, Jordan and Brennan, and it's not too bad of a game. Brennan, I think you should be pretty proud. It's a good showing, and into the hundreds and into the 110s, which is what you want to see. Jordan, we'll start with you. Quarterback injury, welcome to the club. And, Brennan's like, yeah, me too. And we'll get to you. Yeah, just more injuries. And as we continue on with this 2023 season, Geno Smith for you, Jordan. But what you really like to see is the 27 points. You finally escape this 9-10 zone with Josh Jacobs as he scores 27. Brandon Ayuk on the upward side of the roller coaster, 20 points. And then your defense was one of your highest scoring players, and you win 17 points. There's definitely, look, there's Michael Thomas, only 9 points. So, whatever. I had to point him out real quick, but even then, I mean, I think you're okay with 9 points. I mean, 4 receptions, 53 yards without Derek Carr. Okay, I mean, the dude still scores 9 points. Whatever. Bane of my talking existence, Michael Thomas. Anyway, Dicker the kicker. Also, I just wanted to say that more and more. That's just so fun to say. Dicker the kicker. Love the 110. You like your production here. Brendan, for you, I don't think you want to complain about 94 points. What you do complain about is yet another injury. Kenny Pickett out, and we'll see what happens in week 5, but at least in this game, only scores 3 points and out of the game. Highest scoring player was your defense, 29 points in Seattle. If you had Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor, I mean, you would have blown Jordan out of the water. I mean, that's just the unfortunate part of this. But other than that, 17 points from DeAndre Swift, or back in the days we like to call him DB Swift. But yes, even Najee 11, Reed 10. I mean, it's just, it's just not enough right now to get you a win, but lots of fun things to talk about in week 5. Can't wait to do it. We're not there yet, but Brendan, stick with me, buddy. I know we've got more to cover. Well, that was game 1, and a good win for Jordan. Our next game features Evan Coles and Chandler Taylor. Evan, I had you in this game, and you came close, but the Buffalo Bills go off and save Chandler's week. I will say, Evan, it's what I thought was going to happen, what I'm sure you were hoping was going to happen, with Alvin Kamara going off big here, 21 points. King Henry got what you needed, 24 points. Chris Godwin gets 19. Of course, Mike Evans' owners not too happy there, but I mean, just nothing else happening on the bottom half of your team. Even Patty Mahomes against a tough Jets defense, only 13 points. And Chandler, congratulations. Not to take anything away from you, 116 points. It's a great number. And the Buffalo Triad making its presence known for you this week and doing, when you have weeks like this, you're going to be very tough to beat. Like I said, you're a little matchup dependent, and this is what happens when that matchup goes the right way. Josh Allen, 36 points with that stack with Stephon Diggs, 36, and even the touchdown for you. There was some passing work that really added up for you with James Cook, so that triple stack really helped you out. As I told you, A.J. Dillon is just not playable, even in a 16-man league, only 1 point, but, between Allen and Diggs, it more than makes up for that. D-Hop gets you a solid 10, and I think you're okay with that. Nothing else going on at the bottom of this team. Even you got 4 points from Kyle Pitts, which is 4 more points than he had last year, and that's all right. And it's a win, so you're definitely all right here. Congratulations, Evan. I thought that you could get this win here, but you know what? 0-4. you're looking at that, and that could easily be, you could easily be 1-3 right now. So you're not worried. You just really need to pick up a win in week 5. We'll talk about it here in a moment. Keeping this train going, it is Dustin and Aaron Grog in this matchup here. Dustin, a notice that Deshaun Watson just decides he's not going to play comes late and bites you big time as a big old goose egg, and they had sure announced it super late. I guess they thought he was going to play, and he just ends up not just deciding not to play and then going into the bye week. So maybe that shoulder injury more significant than he or the media would like to let on. With that being said, you are, needing to monitor that situation. And there was, I would say, time to have switch him. It wasn't a lot of time. It was very narrow. Maybe you missed it. Either way, it did hurt you. But I mean, nothing production-wise. Your defense goes negative. Amon St. Brown and Devontae Adams, your only positives here. Even Cole Kmet scores 27 points, but just nothing else. 70 points, not enough to get you a win. Aaron, don't want to take anything away from the productivity side of your team here. Anthony Richardson comes back from his concussion with a monstrous 29 points. Kyron Williams who I cannot remember who dropped him off or dropped him onto waivers. I think it was Jordan, believe it or not. With all your running back talent, I get it, I somewhat understand it, but I mean, are you wondering if you do that again? I'll have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was Jordan that did it, and proving to be one of the biggest, if not the best, waiver pickup of the year right now. I kind of would lean towards Puka. We'll talk about that with Austin, but yeah, 27 points in this game, and they are more than enough to help put away Dustin, but Calvin Ridley at least gets a touchdown. You like to see that. And then Pierce hits double digits. Overall, you like the number. It's enough to get a certified win. So congratulations. And looking to carry that in to week number 5. Game number 4 of week 4 gave us Gilby and Austin. Gilby, I had you in this game. You scored well, 117, but just not enough as Austin throws up a huge week, 156, and Austin very quietly, with very good waiver pickups, you have moved up into the upper echelons of the quote-unquote seeding, if you can call that this early. But yeah, so great third win here. Gilby, tough third loss. I mean, especially when you score 170 points, you think you're going to get a win here. Jordan Love, I'll take my 17 points. You like that. McLaurin has a big day, 22 here. But we always say it, and even when you score 117 points, look at Brock, who had 29 points from his defense and still lost. Same here, 17 points from your defense, 14 points from your kicker, just not enough overall to overcome. I mean, would it have been enough to overcome the slaughter that was Austin this week? It's 170 points. You like the production. You hate the outcome. You're just looking to do better next week, brother. And it's just a tough high point loss. And those are the worst to have. I'd rather get a low point win than take a high point loss, because when you score high, you feel like you deserve that win, and it's tough. Austin, like I said, your team is looking more and more dangerous every day. Justin Herbert, be glad that wrestling match that ended with a broken finger, I believe it is on the non-throwing hand. So yeah, really, really lucky there. 23 points in this game. Pacheco has 24 points. Brown 38. Puka Nukem, who I think I'm going to start referring to Puka Nakua that way. I just love it. I guess I just Puka Nukem. Who doesn't love the homage to Duke there? 31 points. And you're going to have to, maybe taper expectation in week 5. We'll talk about it when we get there. He does his job in week 4 for you. Zach Ertz with the volume there gets 11. I mean, it doesn't matter that your defense goes 6. Kicker 18, 156 points. Nobody was gonna knock you off your high horse this week, even Gilby. So great win, and of course you're looking to take it into week number 5. Next game gave us Derek and Forever Unclean. And what did I tell you, Derek? The shit winds are blowing. And they knocked down your door. Tua Tagovailoa, 13 points. I mean, it was a pedestrian run from the running backs. Even Tony Pollard doesn't get into double digits. Chris Olave, nothing. Of all the things, DJ Moore, who, talk about people that I've singled out, like, Michael Thomas, now DJ Moore, 27 points. I'm not putting any stock in to that, Chicago offense yet. I think just DJ Moore had himself a day. And then it's right back to the meteor with, look, everybody's defense is popping. Tampa Bay, 15, and Aubrey, 12. Derek, let's just say this. You've been one of the most consistent teams. You might as well call this 100 points. So you fall 15-ish points short of your average. It's one of those that from every other position except your main stable guys just don't show up in this one. You still score 100 points. So you're really not too disappointed other than the fact that you lose and go to 2-2. I picked you in this game. Of course, Jay, the stench overwhelms Duval indeed, as your post in the chat I thought was quite funny. We'll start at the top though. Lamar Jackson, 28 points, 2 rushing rushing touchdowns abounding this year with Lamar. The running back core does nothing, and now Javonte Williams injured. Look to that in week 5. With that hip pointer. Justin Jefferson still proving that, you could argue CMC could have been the number 1 pick, but I still, think Justin Jefferson is doing his job for you. Jacoby Myers and everybody else has a pedestrian day. And then it goes to your defensive kicker, 21 points, as Jackson absolutely shuts down Atlanta. And watching Atlanta is just like watching a dumpster fire, except for Bijan, who's just awesome to watch, if I do say so myself, and I do. McMahon is 14 points. And we talk about, we talked about it last week. We're definitely talking about it again. We'll probably talk about it in week 5. But Jay, you're really, really happy. You have a team that's scoring over 110 points for 4 weeks in a row, and that really is dangerous. That's a playoff contention team, and you'll see that reflected in the power rankings this week. Next game is Josh Johnson and Brock Hudgens. And Brock, I picked you in this game, but it almost wasn't so. Josh, almost the classic. We talk about an homage to the older days. Excuse me. Look at this high point loss that you're taking, something you're unfortunately accustomed to. Justin Fields, and do not let this, you think that you can continue starting Justin Fields. I think you just ran into Denver's horrible defense. But 27 points. It helps make this close. Christian McCaffrey, 48 points, 106 yards, 4 total offensive touchdowns. It's a monster day, and now makes the argument that CMC could be or should have been the number 1 overall pick. You were able to get him at 5, so you're, smiling ear to ear. More than makes up for Miller's lack of production. Devonta Smith not getting a lot in that game, 14 points, nothing else. Not even double digits from the bottom half of the team. If anybody down here would have got a touchdown, you walk away with a W. It doesn't happen, unfortunately, as a more balanced approach from Mr. Brock Hudgens gets a win here. Trevor Lawrence, 16 points. Kenneth Walker and A-Chain, 13. And, 27 points, 2 touchdowns. Of course, we'll talk about the ramifications of what's the future of the Miami backfield will look like. And will A-Chain, and yes, I understand that he's said that his name's A-Chan, but you don't get to choose your nicknames. Other people do. And A-Chain sounds way cooler to me. So, yeah, anyway, will you see this high double-digit scoring moving forward. We'll talk about it, but at least this week he did his job. Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, double digits, 16 and 12. Even Jaylen Warren gets 11. And as a flex play, you love that. 122 points. It's 4 points enough to make a win here, Brock. And going 2-2, making me look good at the same time, I love it. Game 7 was a low-scoring affair, and rightly one that if we were playing just about anybody else in the league, we would not have succeeded. But that doesn't matter. I was playing you, Aaron, and it's a total team no-show. Likewise, 90 points. I'm not too happy with Joe Burrow. Obviously, clearly still dealing with some kind of injury. And I have serious wonders if, I can even play him anymore. Bijan looked great. David Montgomery even better. And a little salt in the wound as a former player has a little bit of a revenge game and blowing up on you there with that 34 points. T. Higgins cracks a rib and is gone. Only 3 points. Zay Flowers, 8 points. Musgrave, concussion, 1 point. I almost feel like Brennan over here with the injuries. My God, Keenan Allen, 12 points, which saves my bacon. Cleveland's defense, 6, and Sanders, 2. 90 points. The David Montgomery saves my day and puts you away. It is just almost a no-show from every player on your end, Aaron, as Kirk Cousins only gets 9 points. Your highest scoring player was CeeDee Lamb, who only got 14. The next highest was Tyler Higbee with 11. It's just not a lot to talk about in our game. I walk away with extremely lucky. I consider this a low point win when you look at teams that are scoring out like, Derek and Jay, 118 points, 115 points every week. 90 points isn't going to cut it, and 69 isn't either. So we both got things we need to, reconnoiter in week 5, Aaron. But at least this week, couldn't stand up to Final Boss. That'll bring us to the last game of week 4, game of the week, and that it was between Jack Little Raven and Forrest Heart of the Cards Dozier. And yet again, unbelievably, 4-0 Forrest. It is a dream start to the year. It is one of the greatest comeback. We say, well, it's the beginning of the year. How could it be a comeback? If you just knew the first half a decade of Forrest's life in the fantasy league and how rough it was, and to see him king of the mountain right now is truly astonishing. It is an unbelievable start. Jack, you still score 109 points. Nothing from Jared Goff. How crazy are all these defenses? Dallas's defense almost saves your day. 26 points, 2 touchdowns, 3 turnovers, only 3 points allowed. It's just ridiculous. Your kicker 14 points, and then everybody else either scores 12 or under. You still score 109 points. Most of the time you're thinking you're going to win, and he just outlasts you. And even with a goose egg, 114, only used 8 people and got a win here. It could have been more. Jalen Hurts, big day for us, 24 points. Alexander Madison, 10 points, and that is maybe going to be lower. We'll talk about it in week 5. As Cam Akers definitely started to show that he is working his way into this role. Debo scores less than a point, and you still walk away with a win. Better lucky than good. How it doesn't matter why. Nico Collins and Mark Andrews, 35 and 25, and we'll talk about Mark Andrews. Oh, yes, we will in week 5. And throw it up there for me, Dave. There's the standings for week number 4, or I should say after 4 weeks of football. And our lone undefeated, the Grand Wizard, Forrest Dozier, don't need to tell you, everybody knows. Followed right behind Austin Allen, and Austin Pook Newcomb has quietly moved you, like I said, up into the upper tiers of the league, and looking very, very dangerous right now. I'm really curious to see what happens, especially now that we're hearing that Cooper Kupp is going to be back. Everybody who has Puka wants to know what his role is going to look like, and I mean, you just can't imagine him disappearing with how awesome he is. Aaron, Jordan, myself are the other 3-1s here, and then almost everybody sitting at 2-2, tied in that for that 6th position. And remember, 8 people make it in. And I just want you to look at this right now, how everyone's sitting here. I want you to fast forward, if you can, another 10 weeks. And I can guarantee you there will be teams that are 7-7 that make that 7th and 8th seed. I guarantee you they'll be 7-7. And if you look at this right now, if you look at the outside of the 8, there are another 3-4 teams that have the 2-2. That'll be 7-7. There will be teams with an even 500 record that will not make the championship bracket. Okay, now you'll have your opportunity to make your picks. We'll talk all about that in the year, but I'm just going to say it happens every year. There will be a team that is 7-7 and not make the playoffs, and you guys have to. It is so important to get your wins in and get your tiebreakers in early, because losing late in the season is not good. Outside of that, that 2-2 area, still nothing to worry about. Are Dustin and Luke sitting at 1-3, and of course our last 2, Evan and Brennan, 0-4. And again, you're not necessarily panicking if you're 1-3. You're concerned if you're 0-4. But like I said, we look at Evan, and it's like, Evan, you could easily be a 1-3 team here. And it just sucks that you took a high point loss, so you're not really in that much danger. And what is 3 games? We have 10 weeks of the regular season to go. 3 games is nothing. And you're right back into the middle of the pack, if you will. So let's check out a week 5 preview. Thank you, Dave. And to start off our week 5, you already know it is Brennan Scala, Dustin Warren. But wait a minute, Brennan, no red alert. Look at that. Is it a plane? Is it a bird? No, it is Cooper Kupp coming back, and you have to assume this is the guy who almost broke Megatron's record last year. He has to assume his role. Even reports that Jonathan Taylor has rejoined the team and is practicing. Does that mean he's actually going to play? I think there's just too much until you see it, and/or that that he has said I'm playing. Irsay said he's playing. Whatever, you're hoping it happens. But this game, it's really close. And it's just one of those that you could have been 1-3. Last week you put up 94 without your 2 guys, without Aaron Rodgers, who, hey, maybe you get him in week 7. I don't really think that that's possible, but Aaron Rodgers seems to defy logic in many ways. Maybe the ayahuasca does something to the body that we really don't know. I personally don't know. I will say, it's going to be tough. You need Cooper Kupp in this match. The projection still is against you, at least ESPN wise. Let's go into it. Zach Wilson will start off as your quarterback, getting Denver. So, hey, we're horrible. It's very possible that you have a great game here. He was actually serviceable last week. Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift, running backs 1 and 2. And so you're just going to get that split time with you're just going to get that split time with Jaylen Warren. The Cooper Kupp, you hope, plays against Philadelphia. Taper your expectation. Coming off the injury, tough defense. If he plays, he's got to deal with Slay and that just the overall toughness of Philly. George Pickens, the wide receiver 2 here, Baltimore stingy defense, and Kenny Pickett, will he play? I will doubtful. Dalton Schultz, the tight end here, Jonathan Taylor in at flex. Will if he plays, will he have Zach Moss numbers? Surely. I mean, against Tennessee's horrible defense, you love the matchup. I mean, this could you could do it. It could happen. Washington, the defense, a great play against Chicago. Young Ho Koo, the kicker. Dustin, you're out some players due to bye and arguably injury, excuse me. Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper sitting this game out. Ryan Tannehill comes off the waiver and gets Indianapolis taper your expectation. Miles Sanders and Dalvin Cook, running backs 1 and 2, and it looks like Breece Hall is healthy, will be taking over his role as the starting running back, so that really hurts Dalvin Cook. You're just hoping he vultures a touchdown at the goal line. Devontae Adams and Amon St. Brown, they've been great. You need them to continue to doing great, and hopefully can edge Cooper Kupp here. Cole Kmet, can't argue that 27 points isn't going to help. I doubt you're going to get that kind of number. That probably be his highest point total all year, but it was good to see. And you need that you need Justin Fields, whatever they put in the water before the game, you need that Chicago Bears team. What it was is the Denver defense, because we're horrible. Okay. But you get Washington's defense, and they proved that they can be real bad or real good. Well, I guess we'll depend on which Washington defense you get. DJ Chark, the flex play here, Miami defense, and Carlson, the kicker, 99.7 to 95.7 in this game. It is really close. I don't know who I'm going to, this is really tough. I don't know who I'm going to go for, but you know what? It's a 0-4, it's 1-3, but you know what? If I tell you this, if Cooper Kupp plays and Jonathan Taylor play, Brennan, you're going to get on the board. So guess what? Give me Brennan Scala in this week 5 matchup to get on the board and be 1-4. The next game is going to take me just a minute to cover, because if it wasn't for my voice being hindered right now and my throat being in excruciating pain, I would be yelling my bloody murder head off, because Forrest, you have started the season off so well, and you run into Evan, who's having a rough go, and what do you decide to do? Make the dumbest trade that you possibly could. And why, for the love of God, why you would touch your team when you are perfect, you are unblemished, and you have a high-scoring tight end who arguably could end up the number 1 tight end in the NFL, better than Travis Kelce on a points or just a fantasy basis, could end up better than Travis Kelce. You saw last week he had 25 compared to Travis Kelce's 12. Okay. But you decide that you're going to make another trade with Aaron Grog. And let me just ask you, Forrest, in the past, I know that you've been gone for a while, and, I understand that, you and me and Aaron go way back, Aaron Grog, okay, but yet you allow Aaron Grog to trade rape you year in and year out that you're a member of the league. You literally gave up, for those of you who don't know, right before the end of Wednesday night, Forrest traded Mark Andrews for Raheem Mostert and Dallas Goedert, which is a horrible trade. You maybe are not aware that Jeff Wilson Jr. is coming back from his injury, and the head coach of the Dolphins has made it clear that injury is not a reason to lose your job, and that he will allow Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert and Devon A-Chain all to get touches. Raheem Mostert got 5 points last week because A-Chain had 27 and all in 2 touchdowns. Okay? This is the kind of mix-up you are now throwing Jeff Wilson into. So, yeah, maybe one of these guys go off. Maybe they all have bad days. But only, there's only so much volume that is going to correlate into fantasy numbers. Yes, Raheem Mostert is the number 1 running back in fantasy going into week 4. That now has changed and will continue to change as he drops due to the simple lack of volume. And while Mark Andrews is going to be doing fantastic, Dallas Goedert is just a mediocre tight end. Okay, it's clear that between the rushing of DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts and passing to Devontae Adams and A.J. Brown, the Dallas Goedert is like a 5th option right now. The dude is ranked 30th. You gave up so much, Forrest, for the value's just not there. I don't understand. I mean, Deebo Samuel with your first pick, and you saw, I think that's what we're going to see. I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFL right now. I think Brock Purdy's great, but it's clear that either Brandon Ayuk's going to have a big day or Deebo Samuel, not both of them. So you can't count on Deebo Samuel to save you every week. He's not going to get 25 points. Maybe it's going to go to Brandon Ayuk. You saw that last week. And now Deebo Samuel's banged up, and you just gave away a tight end who can actually score as high as a wide receiver. Jake Ferguson cannot score, will have very rarely will he score into the 20s, where at least it was very possible with Mark Andrews. You're now back with the rest of us if you're lucky to get 6 to 8 points. If you're lucky, there are days you're going to get 2 and 5, like 2 receptions, because that's the nightmare that is tight ends. So, with that being said, let's start to break down your team as you've single-handedly handed away. Forrest, let me explain to you what you had. You were the most dominant team in this league right now, okay? You are undefeated. All you had to do was win 3 games. That would put you at 7 wins, which puts you pretty much into the playoffs. If you win 8 games, I guarantee if you can win, and I don't care just Forrest, this is anybody. If you win 8 games, you will go to the playoffs. I would put money on it. If there was a team that had 8 wins that didn't make the playoffs, super surprised. 7-7, maybe not make the playoffs. 8-6, you will be in the championship bracket. So you handed away. Watch it. I'm going to tell you right now that, Forrest, you went from being do you understand? You had never made the playoffs. You were going to make the playoffs. You were going to make the playoffs, and now you will not. You will miss out on the playoffs again because you allowed Aaron to trade rape you. And I told you, I said, I don't care how many trades he sends you, do not trade Aaron because he will fleece you, and he did it again. You didn't listen, and you know what? This is the one thing about trades in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen, and this is trades in general, how I think it should be across all fantasy leagues of everywhere, minus collusion. And I'm not even saying that's not the case here. You're just stupid, Forrest. And I say that with love. But minus provable collusion, which is very, very hard, by the way, you should allow trades of any kind, any type in your league, okay? People pay their money, people spend the time. You have the right to do with your team what you want to do. Okay, you can sell it down the river if you so choose. Okay, I'm not saying that's happening either, but you have the right to do it, in my opinion. Now, the rest of us, we don't have to like that. And so I can spend 3 minutes on a rage rant about you doing dumb things. Okay, I'm not going to stop it. I'm not going to reverse it at all, but I don't have to fucking like it. So let's break down the fucking team that you're going to play this week, Forrest. Oh, my God. Jalen Hurts gets the Los Angeles Rams. It's a great matchup. You love that. Alexander Madison and Raheem Mostert, running backs 1 and 2. I guess it's better than Samaj AP, Ryan. Madison gets Kansas City, taper expectation. Mostert gets the Giants. You better hope that Jeff Wilson doesn't vulture your freaking shit. Nico Collins and Deebo Samuel, wide receivers 1 and 2. Deebo Samuel banged up. Monitor that. I would maybe move him to your flex just to be safe as he plays late, and you may need to swap him out. Jake Ferguson now replaces Mark Andrews and runs into San Francisco, whereas you now have a nightmare matchup, a mediocre tight end with a nightmare matchup against 49ers. You had Mark Andrews playing a horrible Pittsburgh defense. They are on the field too long. The offense can't stay on the field. I don't understand, Forrest. I truly don't understand. You had everything you needed for a dominant win this week. Jordan Addison gets Kansas City, taper expectations. Buffalo, the defense, and Moody, the kicker. It's 112 points. And I really am curious to what the projection would have been if Mark Andrews was in here. I'm sure it'd probably be more to 120. But anyway, 112 points. I will say, Evan, you're playing with somebody on a bye, and that's kind of holding your projection down here. And unfortunately, being 0-4, you have players on bye weeks in any league. That's hard, but much less in a 16-man league, especially someone like Chris Godwin, who could have had a big week if Mike Evans wasn't playing or something like that. You really need to shine. Of course, now your projection is going to go up when you replace Godwin here, obviously, and then Freiermuth is doubtful to play. So you've got 2 players here that obviously are going to be swapped out. Your projection is going to go up. We'll probably imagine probably 10-ish, maybe 8 to 10 points from a wide receiver here, and I would imagine 6, probably get another 6 points from a from a tight end projection. Whether you hit that or not, we'll see. Altogether, probably boost your projection to about 100, low 100, 101, something like that. Still about 10 points short of Forrest here. Patrick Mahomes gets Minnesota. That should be a great matchup. Derrick Henry and Alvin Kamara, running backs 1 and 2, and unfortunately tough defenses. King Henry gets Indianapolis, and Kamara runs into the New England and Bill Belichick, and we talk about it week in, week out. Bill Belichick's going to take away your best thing, and with the quarterback woes, it's either Chris Olave or, in this case, Alvin Kamara coming back and running all over the place. So you have to imagine that he's going to do something to stop Alvin Kamara. Godwin obviously will be swapped out. Jerry Jeudy gets the Jets, taper expectation. Just got tough matchups here. Pat Freiermuth probably will not play, but if he does, Baltimore, so you're tapering expectations. Kendrick Bourne gets New Orleans, and they, just all around tough matchups. San Francisco plays Dallas, and Justin Tucker, who that's great. You love that. Evan, Bud, I hope you enjoy it. You're one of the people who requested the smoke show, so now I'm not a narc. All right, I'm one of the cool kids, and I would love to see you. Man, I don't want to see you win. I'm mad at Forrest. Maybe that's why I'm just a little vengeful right now. I'd just like to see you beat him to prove a point. But you need a win. I don't think it's going to happen, brother. I think you're going to go to 0-5. Give me the Grand Wizard. And game number 3 of week 5 gives us Aaron Felch and Jack Little Raven. Both these players coming off of a loss in week 4, so somebody's going to walk away happier than they did a week ago. Aaron, we'll start with you as Kirk Cousins comes against Kansas City. So, I think Kansas City's defense has done a lot better than they have in previous years. So I'd taper my expectation, especially off of last week. I mean, that was a rough week. James Conner and Chuba Hubbard, and I actually liked how Chuba looked last week. We'll see if we'll see if Detroit and they have a top 8 defense right now. So two kind of tough matchups for the start of your players here. Cincinnati and Arizona's look good. So I'm not too worried about Cincinnati's defense in this matchup. CeeDee Lamb and Tank Dell, wide receivers 1 and 2. CeeDee Lamb does get San Francisco, so maybe taper expectation a little bit there. Tyler Higbee also gets Philadelphia, so some stiff matchups overall, Aaron, this week. And you saw your team was kind of stifled last week, so maybe looking at something similar. Garrett Wilson, who had a huge monster night last week, and I don't blame you for benching him at all. I would not have played him even in a 60-man league. I thought Tutu Atwell was a great play. It just didn't pan out as well. But against Denver, absolutely. You saw what Chicago was able to do, what DJ Moore was able to do against Denver. So yes, I absolutely think you play Garrett Wilson here. Cincinnati defense, maybe we're thinking about playing somebody else. And McPherson, the kicker, it's a 105 projection. I will say, you do have a bonus here because Jack is dealing with, of course, some bye weeks, and just bye weeks are devastating, just as devastating as injuries in a 16-man league. Jared Goff is going to be the quarterback here, gets Carolina, love it, and I think this 14 points is more than obtainable, probably could score higher. Zeke and Matt Breida, running backs 1 and 2, and I have just no faith in Matt Breida or the Giants against Miami's defense. I think you need to just look elsewhere for an RB2, and you're just hoping that Zeke, again, your running back situation right now is very touchdown dependent. And I would even argue maybe bringing in Charbonnet, but I know you need to see more. It's just and I think Kenneth Walker. Again, we've talked about it before. I think, there's plenty of room for Charbonnet to work his way in and look relevant. I like Michael Gallup here, but with San Francisco's defense, taper expectation, I almost wonder if it's bringing in the stack with think about Dak and the stack here. Yes, I know it's San Francisco, but excuse me. Maybe CeeDee Lamb being covered here opens up Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks. Think about that. I do see you do have the stack with Josh Reynolds, but Josh Reynolds is banged up, and Williams, Williams is coming back. So taper, your expectation of productivity with Josh Reynolds. Travis Kelce, this is where he just needs to have a big day. He needs to have a monster day to help you beat Aaron here. The double tight end set is coming out as George Kittle, who gets Dallas, man. They're a tough defense. So, I understand with the holes in the team, he gives you your best option for points here. Dallas's defense has got to be that 25-point week this week to, I think, get you a win. And Tyler Bass, the kicker, unfortunately, Jack, no Mike Evans and the double tight end, I think it's just not enough. It's only a 38% win projection. I do believe this week it is going to go to Aaron Felch for this week 5 matchup. Our next game is a tight one within 10 points, 9.3 to be exact, as Derek Ash will take on Josh Johnson. And this looks to be a really good game. It should be exciting. Tua Tagovailoa is going to get the Giants, and he should feast for you, Derek. Tony Pollard and Jeremy Gibbs. You see what this does to me. Now we've reached the later part. I become to lose cognitive ability. But yeah, Gibbs gets Carolina, and I guess we see that Montgomery's clearly going to get 30 touches. I don't know if I'm ever going to get 30 touches with him again, but it's clear that Gibbs is not going to get the 30 touches with Montgomery in the lineup. But you like the matchup, so he could easily score into the double digits here. And Pollard against San Francisco, tape your expectation, might be in for another 10-point day. Chris Olave has got to do better and gets New England. And so, what will Bill Belichick be doing? It could be another low point day for him. DJ Moore gets Washington. I think they're a little underrated. I'm not necessarily afraid of them, but I don't have any faith. I don't have any faith in Justin Fields. I think that he should be traded by Chicago. I think he's completely overrated. Yes, he does stuff with his legs, but it's just clear with who is around him in Chicago is not going to get it done. If you put Justin Fields in Atlanta's offense with where Desmond Ritter's at, I think that completely changes. But he's not. He's in Chicago, and they're horrible. Laporta, which we love, against Carolina, easy matchup. Jahan Dotson gets Chicago. Yeah, I love it. New England, the defense, and Aubrey, the kicker. Yeah, this 113, I think, is easily obtainable. Again, you're one of the more consistent scoring teams. Still, were able to score basically 100 points last week. It was just a tough loss. And so wipe the shit off your pants and get ready for Josh. Now, Josh, I think that, you go right into what I'm saying. Yeah, you have Washington. It could turn out well. If you had another quarterback, I'd maybe consider playing him. I just don't think that. I mean, I easily could see Justin Fields doing nothing, on Thursday night. CMC and Gibson, running backs 1 and 2. At least Antonio Gibson gets Chicago's horrible defense. And yeah, CMC, gets Dallas. So not another 50-point night, but no reason that he couldn't hit double digits. Now, does he even hit the 22 points that he's at right now? I don't know about that. Especially, do we know how much San Francisco can even hold on to the ball? But it should be a good game, and you're absolutely. There's no way you're not starting CMC. Wouldn't even consider it. Devonta Smith and Alex Pierce, wide receivers 1 and 2. Of course, having to deal with a little bit of bye week. No Tyler Lockett and JSN. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get it going. Geno Smith goes out. Drew Lock, wasn't able to spread the ball around as well, and just, fell short, 4 points short of a win last week. But now playing without them, again, and so, bye week hitting you a little rough here. At least you're still projected over 100 points. You saw other people on, bye weeks who don't lose as much as you did this week, and they're not even projected over 80, 90 points. So Hawkinson needs a big day here, but unfortunately runs in Kansas City, taper expectation. Houston defense and Matt Gay, the kicker, 113 to 104. And I just think Derek has juicy matchups here. You've got some tough matchups and with the bye week. So Josh, unfortunately, I'm going to give the pick to Derek, who doesn't think it's unfortunate. But I do think that, Derek picks up the third win here, and your third loss, sir. Covering the last 4 games here of week number 5 sees Austin, Allen, and Chandler Taylor meeting up. It's a 3-1, 2-2 matchup. So 1 game separates these 2 guys. Austin, like I said, you quietly climbed your way to the top. You've had some great waiver wire pickups. Poop Nukem being the epiphany of that, and in personally my opinion, the best waiver pickup. Kyron Williams was technically drafted, especially in a 16-man league. I get in 10 and 12-man leagues, he probably wasn't, unless maybe you wanted a handcuff. But he was drafted, he was dropped. So that makes Puka a true waiver pickup, and I think in our league this year, the best waiver pickup. We'll get to him in a moment, as Bryce Young gets Carolina. Bryce Young gets Detroit. He's obviously the quarterback for Carolina. I said that wrong. I wonder why. Anyway, Isaiah Pacheco and Gus Edwards, running backs 1 and 2. They get Minnesota and Pitt, so I actually like this. I mean, just with Gus Edwards, the number 1 running back is Lamar Jackson, who can throw the ball as well, I suppose, as they say. But yeah, Gus just he needs to vulture a touchdown here. A.J. Brown and Puka Newcomb, wide receivers 1 and 2. And I love the A.J. Brown and the Rams matchup. I think the Eagles will feast. The Rams secondary is horrible, and then that bodes well for the passing game for the Rams. I think they'll be Matthew Stafford will be passing a lot because they're going to play from behind. But the question is that Cooper Kupp is supposed to come back, and I can't imagine him not assuming that he that number 1 role. And I think that Puka Nacua is still irrelevant. I think people, kind of put it past their minds that, Robert Woods still had a pretty okay, not amazing or standout year, just okay year last year behind Cooper Kupp. So I don't think that Puka is irrelevant. I just, maybe you can say goodbye to these 30-point games consistently, I should say. But yeah, should he hit double digits? Yeah, could he get this 14 points against Philadelphia's defense? I don't know about that. Taper your expectation. But other teams, yeah, 10 to 15 points I think is still completely reasonable. At this point in time, yeah, you're still starting him. Zach Ertz gets Cincinnati. I love it. Excuse me. And then Mike Wilson, who I like here, who has really come to stand out in the Arizona offense. I like this flex play. Nice pickup. Detroit defense and Elliott, the kicker, dealing with a little bit of bye week yourself there. No Jerome Ford and, just having to adapt there a little bit. Excuse me. And then, of course, no Herbert in this game, but hopefully you've got enough with the rest of the team to make up for those holes. It's still a projection of 106. Chandler, this is where being a little matchup dependent is going to hurt you a bit. You run into a tough Jacksonville defense. So Josh Allen, I think he could have an okay day. It's just everybody else in correlation with him. We'll see. James Cook and A.J. Dillon, running backs 1 and 2. I think you've got to look elsewhere for a running back. I mean, Las Vegas is a better defensive matchup, but A.J. Dillon is not getting enough work here. And I think that even if it was just 2 or 3 more points, if it was 5 points instead of the 1 you got last week, it's a better day. But yeah, James Cook, taper expectations. Stephon Diggs and D-Hop, wide receivers 1 and 2. And yeah, just again, Buffalo plays Jacksonville, but then, Tennessee has Indianapolis, and Indianapolis is stingy. So beware. Kyle Pitts gets Houston. It doesn't look better. The only matchup is Sky Moore gets Minnesota. You love that. New Orleans, the defense, and Jacob Myers, the kicker. I hate to say it, Chandler. At least you're sitting at 2 and 2. But even with the bye weeks, and even with Bryce Young being the quarterback, and Cooper Kupp coming back for Brennan, and that cutting, it will obviously cut into Puka. I just don't think that. Yeah, you just have these tough matchups, man. It's just tough, and it's reflected in your projection. Only 96 points. That could, if Buffalo balls out, this completely changes. But Jacksonville, I think, is going to, it's a conference or divisional, obviously divisional matchup. So I little bit easier matchups for Austin, and that is who I will go with in this week 5, getting his 4th win. And unfortunately, Chandler falling 2 and 3. Prove me wrong, brother, here in week 5. 3 games left to go here, and Aaron Grog, Luke Gilbertson are going to meet up here in week 5. Aaron sitting at 3-1, Gilby sitting at 1-3. The projection of this game real close, about 6.5 points. Aaron dealing with bye. It's only Donovan Peoples-Jones, and of course you just trade raped Forrest. So now you have arguably the best tight end. There it is, 12 points on the projection. We'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, it's going to be a close game. Gilby's been scoring well. He had a high point total, just an unfortunate loss as Brock was able to put 150 points on him. Like we said, we'll start with you though, Aaron, as Aaron Richardson. Oh my gosh, Aaron Aronson. But Richardson gets Tennessee. You like the matchup, 20 points in this projection. Breece Hall and Kyron Williams will be running backs 1 and 2. Of course, Breece Hall finally off of any injury reports and should now be getting all of the work. I don't think one game all of a sudden means that the Jets, in a game where they almost beat Kansas City, it's like, I don't think that means that all of a sudden the Jets are a good team. I still have all the concerns that I have about, Zach Wilson and, Garrett Wilson and the running game for this matter. Now, do I think that the Breece Hall situation would be like the Atlanta situation, as in it's rough to watch the Jets, but it's fun to watch Breece Hall? I do. It's horrible watching Atlanta, but you love to watch Bijan. It's the same situation. Kyron Williams is banged up. Will he play? At least he is projected to. He runs into Philly, so taper your expectation. Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley, wide receivers 1 and 2. You love the match with Tyreek Hill. He gets the Giants, and Calvin Ridley gets Jacksonville. I am going to refrain from ranting for another 5 minutes or longer because you've already heard it when I covered it with Forrest, but you have no honor. You are just the most scrupulous person, Aaron, when it comes to dealings in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. Oh, how I loathe you when it comes to certain things you choose to do, and how you get certain people like Forrest to do it more than once is just beyond me. But somehow you wind up getting rid of a useless tight end and a running back who's going to lose time to pick up one of the best tight ends, and now you have a set it and forget it tight end, and he gets Pittsburgh. So have a great day. And Alex Pierce gets Damon Pierce gets a matchup with Atlanta. So could he get into the double digits again like he did last week? I think it's very possible. Philadelphia, the defense, and Patterson, the kicker. It is 122 on the projection, but like I said, it's close. Gilby's right behind you. Jordan Love gets Las Vegas. You like this matchup? I think he could even go over this 18-point projection. Aaron Jones, who doesn't look to have any injury designation against Las Vegas as well, so you love to see that. Travis Etienne, taper your expectation with Buffalo. Jamar Chase and McLaurin, wide receivers 1 and 2. I'll say this much, Gilby, I'm in the same boat with the Cincinnati worry boat. Joe Burrow said he feels better than he has in weeks. That didn't matter against, maybe he was still injured. He sure wasn't on the injury designation. He had a great matchup with Tennessee last week, and it was bad. So will Jamar Chase have a good week? It's a good matchup with Arizona. They're one of the worst teams in allowing a lot of air yards. So, this should be good, especially if T. Higgins is out with a fractured rib. Should be good for you, but I'm tapering my expectations because I honestly just don't know how much faith I have in this Cincinnati offense right now. McLaurin with Chicago, on the other hand, I think it'd be another great week. Granson now will be your tight end. I love the roll in, roll out tight ends that you give us, Gilby. It's just a plethora of all the tight ends, a cacophony of tight ends that you give us week in, week out here in your matchups. Adam Thielen, flex, I love it. Tape your expectations because it's Detroit. Nevertheless, I like the play. Green Bay, the defense, and Maher, the kicker. It's 116 to 122. It's a close game. Aaron has a couple of tough matchups, as do you, but both of you, I think, will score into the 100. You both have really, really juicy matchups. For the most part, I think both of you will score into the hundreds, but unfortunately, because of the trade rape, it makes Aaron the most dominant team, in my opinion. And we'll see the power rankings here at the end, but it absolutely, in my opinion, makes Aaron the most dominant team, and I don't think you get a win here. So Aaron Grog picking up a 4th win, and unfortunately Gilby a 4th loss here in week number 5. With 2 games left to go, our second to last match features two brothers.
Two brothers. Two brothers. 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 Two brothers. Brothers. It's two brothers. It's called Two Brothers. Two brothers.
That's right. It's brother versus brother. The shit wins have come to my doorstep. The disgraced Jay Johnson will try and take on Final Boss. And Jay, it looks like, you are one of the most consistent teams scoring-wise through 1 month of football. You have averaged over 110 points, and you're only sitting at 2-2. Unfortunately, both your losses were super high-point losses. At the same time, your wins were high-point wins. You just have been a very, very good team. Lamar Jackson gets Pittsburgh, and I like the matchup. I think just Pittsburgh with their offense, they may have a decent defense, and I say that tentatively, but they're just on the field for too long, and they get winded, and there's that offense can't do anything. And so overall, I like this matchup, at least for you. Joe Mixon and Javonte Williams, running backs 1 and 2. Keep in mind that Javonte Williams is dealing with a hip issue and may not play. Joe Mixon gets Arizona. I like that. Justin Jefferson and Jacoby Myers, wide receivers 1 and 2. Taper expectation with Jefferson as he gets Kansas City. He's still going to be Kirk Cousins' go-to guy. You're obvious not like you're going to stop, not play him, but just again, will he hit into the high 20s? We'll see. Jacoby Myers gets Green Bay. It's a much better matchup. Dalton Kincaid gets Jacksonville. So, a stingy defense with that matchup. And Michael Pittman just had a really bad week last week, but gets a matchup with Tennessee that you love. Jacksonville, the defense, and McManus, the kicker. Buffalo going to be the play there. So, you really need Jacksonville to hold strong. But it doesn't matter, as you are the lesser brother to the great bearded man that is myself. Joe Burrow will be my quarterback this week, but not because I want to play him. I actually want to bring in Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy plays the Dallas defense, and the chance of Dallas absolutely destroying San Francisco is possible. They're the most dominant defense in the NFL, and I'm just not willing to risk Brock Purdy in that situation. Joe Burrow gets Arizona, so the matchup is right. I just hope that he's able to play. He said he feels better than he has all year going into this week, and he does not carry an injury designation. For the love of Christ, Joe, I know there's more to this offense than what's going on. Get it together, please. Bijan Robinson and David Montgomery, my running backs 1 and 2. They get Houston and Carolina, so I'm tapering my expectation a little bit here with Bijan. That Houston team is much better. They're underrated, and they have a good defense, but Carolina doesn't, so I need another 30-point week from David Montgomery. Unfortunately, you get me on bye week, you lucky bastard. Big time as I lose Keenan Allen and my number 5 defense. So Zay Flowers and Richie Rice will be my wide receivers 1 and 2. I don't know if Musgrave is going to play, so I have to run with Logan Thomas because, again, I'm in these horrible situational plays where it's like I'd rather play Luke Musgrave, but he may not even play, and that game isn't, until Monday. And so since my other backup tight end doesn't play or plays on Thursday, I'm just going to have to roll with Logan Thomas. Thanks God he plays Chicago, so he should have a good day. And then Christian Watson gets Las Vegas. I love that, and he doesn't have an injury designation, so now we get to see hopefully what Christian Watson really looks like. I know all the Packers fans in this group chat will be looking forward to that. I've got to find a defense, so that'll change. My projection will go up about probably 7 to 8 points. So give me like 108, 109 on my projection. So I'm only, the game itself is only going to be about a 5-point difference in your favor. Sanders, the kicker, but you know, Jay, I don't lose to accidents. For those of you who don't know, I was planned, and my middle brother John was planned, but my common nickname that we like to call Jay is Uh-oh, because that you, sir, as you well know, weren't supposed to happen. And I don't lose to things that weren't supposed to happen. So Jay, get the fuck off my lawn. You know your place, which is not even second. You are third to myself. So find someone else in this league that you don't think you match up against, put them in front of you, then put me in front of them, and now you understand your place, you shitty fuck. As I said, which I'll say again, get the fuck off my lawn, and let's go on to the next game. That, of course, means it's time for Game of the Week, so throw it at us, Dave.
I'm ready! I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah.
Wubba lubba dub dub!
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Thank you, sir. And of course, our last game features Brock Hudgens and Jordan Payne. Brock sitting at 2-2, Jordan 3-1. These guys have bye week issues. They've got some injuries, and yet this game within 5 points, both players projected into the hundreds. It should be a super fun game to watch. Let's start with you, Brock. You're sitting without Kenneth Walker, no Quentin Johnson, which I don't really think is that big of an issue. T-Law is going to get Buffalo, so you've got that triple stack. You're going to taper your expectation big time. Jacksonville struggled. We thought they were just going to be this super dominating offense. It's clear that it's going to be a little rougher than that right now. We have seen sparks of it. Hopefully it gets better as we hit the mid part and going, of course, into the late parts of the season. But this week, it's a tough matchup, and it could really change your outcome this week. Shaquan Barkley looks like he's coming back. He's still listed as questionable, and he gets Miami's defense. So and what faith do you have in that Giants offense right now? So I'm definitely tapering my expectation for his outcome. A-Chain is running back number 2, and we talked about it with Jeff Wilson, and then, of course, we already knew Raheem Mostert's there. Is he going to still hit this 20 points? I we just don't know. We're just going to have to see what happens. I'll say this much for Forrest and your sake. You better hope that Jeff Wilson just is thrown in every once in a blue moon and vultures very little, if nothing, because I wouldn't even mess with this backfield. I'd just tell Jeff Wilson, them's the tough breaks, kid, that, we're not messing with something that's clearly a winning formula, but I'm not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Waddle and Christian Kirk, wide receivers 1 and 2 here. You love Waddle in the matchup with New York. You just need to see more production from him. Christian Kirk had a great week last week, but again, Buffalo this week, and we might as well just go right into it with Evan Ingram, who also is going to deal with Buffalo. So maybe one of these players has a better day because T-Law is able to break the one of them, but that Buffalo defense is real good. And, we've seen the struggles with Jacksonville. So this is just what happens when you're, 3 players committed to a team and much like Chandler, matchup dependent. And this is one of those real bad matchups. Jaylen Warren against Baltimore. So even your flex play has a tough defense. Kansas City, the defense, they're going to need to score into the double digits, I think, to give you a chance to win this game. And Butker, the kicker, it's a tough one, Brock, but you have the potential to put up, this 109 points, it's possible. It's just, that Buffalo matchup sure gives me worries. Jordan, you are licking your lips when it comes to the Buffalo matchup, but I will say you, sir, are dealing with some tough matchups yourself. Now, I like that, much like other people this week, you're dealing with injuries and a little bit of bye week. So no Geno Smith, most likely. Austin Eckler looks like he's not going to play. At least he's still listed as being out. If Jonathan Taylor plays, no Zach Moss. Now, I will say if Jonathan Taylor's not going to play, you immediately should play Zach Moss. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. But, Zach Moss becomes a very viable start this week, especially against that Tennessee defense. But, again, not playing him right now. Kareem Hunt out on bye. You're dealing with the injuries in the bye week yourself. And you're still projected 114 points. But Dobbs against Cincinnati, he's looked like he could do it. So I actually like the play here. Josh Jacobs and Ramondre Stevens, running backs 1 and 2, and you need Josh Jacobs to be the 27-point monster that he was last week, especially if Saquon Barkley is going to play. If Saquon plays, they're just gonna throw him into the dirt with touches. So the volume is there in the Miami play. Green Bay not known for stopping the run, more the pass rush. Jacobs could have a good day here. Tapering expectations with Stevenson, not only because of New Orleans, but because of the Zeke Vulture ability. Brandon Ayuk and Michael Thomas, wide receivers 1 and 2. Will Brandon Ayuk be on the high end or the low end of the roller coaster? Will those passing work go to Debo? That's if he plays. Debo, that is. If Debo doesn't play, Brandon Ayuk all day, but it is Dallas, so tapering our expectation a little bit, but much, much better outcome, obviously, if Debo does not play. Michael Thomas gets New England, and I just fuck Michael Thomas, okay? That's where I'm at, okay? You prove me wrong, maybe I'm right. I just fuck that guy when it comes, not as a player, as an individual. He's a very talented guy, and he obviously has done no wrong to me on a personal level, but how dare you be so bad for so long and then be fantasy relevant and allow someone like Jordan to get away with drafting you the way he has. Honey dick bastard. Darren Waller, who's been horrible if you look at his just production. Now, you can blame Danny Dimes, You can blame the New York Giants offense. I mean, whatever you want to do as a person, it just, it doesn't change the fact that Darren Waller has not been the guy that you drafted him to be. Khalil Herbert will come in as the flex play and a so-so matchup with Washington. Baltimore, the defense, and Karimi Fairbairn, the kicker, a 114-109. And I this is super, super tough. It could go either way. Both players running with running back flexes, which is something we don't really see here a lot in the Fantasy League Ordinary Gentlemen. I actually like the wide receiver core from Brock better. Believe it or not, with Jalen Waddle and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, I like all those players. Maybe I like Brandon Cook alone better as the number one receiver there. But as for a group, I don't like Darren Waller. I don't like Michael Thomas. The running back situation is definitely better, I think, for you, Jordan. But I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is so iffy, and will Jacobs score 10 points, but does Saquon Barkley play? How much volume does A-Chain get? I mean, there's so many questions, so interesting, but I have to make a pick, and if I have to make a pick, I know this is super tough, but I think that Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram just have too much of a time against that number one Buffalo defense. It's just too much, and it's just not enough scoring. And so Jordan will walk away, give it to me with his fourth win. Unfortunately, Brock, I think you take a third loss in week 5 in game of the week, but it should be sure as hell fun to watch. That'll bring up, of course, our power rankings, guys, for 4 weeks of football. And what did I tell you? There, sitting at the top, is Aaron Grog, now with a hefty percentage lead. I mean, you were all kind of bunched up, sure, but I mean, if you look at what is 2 and 3%, I mean, that's a huge swing to take ahead of other teams. And so Aaron, now the number one projected for the rest of the year, and you can see all the way down to team 13. I mean, you can still, it's everything's changing. And the only, even Evan, look at Evan, Evan Coles, who's 0-4 right now, is actually projected 11th overall. So you can see that at least we have a lot of football left to play, and these are going to change. I think Brennan is going to find wins here as we move into the middle of the season. He's getting healthier. God knows what injuries, knock on wood, that we still have yet to deal with. And at least right now, here's something I want to point out. Things like this that kind of give you a gauge of what is the future looks like. Forrest, what did I tell you? We look at the top 8 and bottom 8. Can you make it into the top 8, the championship bracket, or are you going to be in the losers bracket, outside, 9 through 16? And what did you do, Forrest? You traded away Mark Andrews, and I said the chances of you now missing the playoffs go way, way up. And what do? Where are you at? You're now sitting at number 9 on the projection. So it means that you're at some point in time, you're going to run into matchups where Mark Andrews was going to make a difference, and it's going to cost you, and it's apparently going to it could cost you so bad that you will just miss out on the playoffs. You could end up being one of those 7-7 teams. If you're a number 9, you're most likely 7-7 and are going to miss out on the playoffs because of a head-to-head breaker, and that's disappointing. But yeah, again, we're still early. We haven't even hit the midpoint of the season, and so right now you're just looking at, if I'm 0-4, if I'm 1-3, am I really 0-4? Am I really 1-3? And if so, if I feel okay, I deserve that, then what do I do to get away from it? If I'm maybe a little bit better than that, if I'm 0-4, but I really could be 1-3. 2-3, or if I'm 1-3 and I could be 2-2, then you're going to keep chugging along. Now maybe you're 2-2, maybe you're 3-1. You're on the right track. You just need to keep it going. Forrest, you're the only 4-0 person that decides I need to change things because this isn't good enough. So we'll see how long you're undefeated. I actually think it keeps going for at least one more week. We shall see. But there it is, guys. There's our power rankings. Of course, you notice I'm not wearing my usual Broncos garb. I broke out the Oklahoma Sooner gear. Everybody knows it is OU Texas weekend, and we're based here in Norman, Oklahoma. I know that Derek Ash, and I send this to you, sir, as our lone Texas Longhorn supporter. You guys have struggled more than the media wants to let you get away with. Texas isn't back. Okay, you guys, that Wyoming game really showed us some things. Our offense is scoring better than you guys. I actually think you run the ball better. You're faster. I think we're more methodical. I think our defense is better. And come this Saturday in the Red River, the last Big 12 OU Texas Red River shootout, it's going to be Oklahoma taking out the Longhorns. Boomer Sooner, horns down. Get out of here, Derek. No chance Texas wins. Wouldn't even fathom it. Of course, Jay, get the fuck off my lawn. Shout out to David Vaughn, Triforce of Shadows, for making this happen every week. We appreciate you guys being here. We hope you've enjoyed yet another week, and peace out.